Felix the Fox, known throughout the forest for his sharp mind and love for adventure, was feeling restless. The autumn air was crisp, the leaves were a vibrant mix of gold and red, and Felix's paws itched for something exciting. Today, as the sun dipped low in the sky, Felix ventured farther than he had before, deeper into the enchanted woods. He trotted confidently, his amber eyes scanning the ground for anything unusual. Just as he was about to head back, a glimmer caught his eye. Beneath a pile of rustling leaves, Felix spotted something curious, a tattered piece of parchment. Intrigued, he pulled it out with his teeth and gently unrolled it on the ground. It was a map, and not just any map. The edges were worn, and the ink had faded slightly, but there was no mistaking the image, a vast, twisting maze, with a bold X marked at its center. Below, in elegant cursive, it read, "The mysterious maze of the enchanted forest, treasures await the brave." Felix's tail swished with excitement. A treasure? This sounds like the perfect adventure. Felix had heard rumors about a maze hidden deep within the enchanted forest. It was said to be filled with puzzles and magical creatures, and that no one who entered had ever returned with the treasure. Felix's heart raced. This was the adventure he had been waiting for. Without hesitation, Felix tucked the map into his satchel and set off to find the maze. The journey was long, and the sun had nearly set by the time Felix reached his destination. There, standing before him, were two towering stone pillars covered in moss, marking the entrance to the legendary maze. "Here we go," Felix whispered to himself, stepping forward. The ground beneath the pillars rumbled, and with a loud groan, they shifted, closing the entrance behind him. "No turning back now," Felix muttered, his paws tingling with anticipation. The maze was unlike anything Felix had ever seen. The hedges were impossibly tall, their thick green leaves rustling as if alive. The paths twisted and turned, some leading into shadowy corridors, others ending in dead ends. Felix glanced at the map, trying to orient himself, but something strange was happening. The paths on the map didn't seem to match the maze before him. "Is this some kind of trick?" Felix muttered, feeling a shiver run down his spine. Determined not to be outsmarted, Felix pressed on. He walked through the maze, carefully noting each turn, but every time he thought he had found a clue, the maze walls shifted. It was as if the maze was playing with him, moving just when he thought he had figured it out. "This place is alive," Felix realized, his ears flicking in frustration. "But I won't let it outsmart me." Felix continued on, using every ounce of his cunning to navigate the maze. He occasionally found small carvings on the walls, symbols of animals like birds, fish, rabbits, and foxes. Though he didn't know their meaning yet, Felix made sure to remember each one, confident they held a clue to the maze's secrets. After what felt like hours of walking, Felix came to a large stone door at the end of a narrow path. The door was carved with intricate designs, much like the symbols he had seen on the walls of the maze. Above the door were 4 carvings, a bird, a fish, a rabbit, and a fox, each surrounded by swirling patterns. "A puzzle," Felix whispered, his amber eyes narrowing. He had always prided himself on being able to solve even the trickiest puzzles, and this one wouldn't be any different. He thought back to the symbols he had seen earlier in the maze. The order they appeared on the walls must be the key to opening this door. Felix carefully pressed the symbols in the sequence he remembered, first the bird, then the fish, followed by the rabbit, and finally the fox. With a deep rumble, the stone door slid open, revealing a new path.
Ha!
I knew it, Felix grinned to himself. Beyond the door, the maze seemed even darker and more mysterious. The air was cooler, and Felix could sense that he was getting closer to the heart of the maze. He tucked the map away and stepped cautiously into the next section. As Felix continued deeper into the maze, the paths became narrower, and the walls seemed to close in. The eerie silence of the maze was broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. Felix's sharp ears picked up a faint sound, a soft squeaking, coming from just around the next corner. Curious, Felix approached cautiously. There, huddled against the hedge, was a tiny mouse. Her fur was dusty, and she looked frightened, her small eyes wide with worry. "Are you all right?" Felix asked gently, crouching down so as not to scare her. The mouse squeaked in surprise, but when she saw Felix's kind eyes, she relaxed a little. I'm lost," she stammered. "My name is Mia. I've been stuck in this maze for days, and I can't find my way out." Felix felt a surge of sympathy for the little mouse. The maze was tricky enough for someone clever like him, but for a small, timid creature like Mia, it must have been terrifying. "Well, Mia," Felix said with a reassuring smile, "I've got a map, and I'm pretty good at solving puzzles. Why don't you stick with me? We'll find the way out together." Mia's eyes brightened with hope. "You'd help me? Really?" "Of course," Felix said. "Two heads are better than one, right?" Mia climbed onto Felix's shoulder, and together they continued through the maze. With Mia's sharp eyes and Felix's cunning, they made quicker progress, avoiding the trickiest paths and dead ends. The deeper they went, the more the maze seemed to resist their presence. The hedges grew thicker, the air colder, and the paths narrower. It was as if the maze itself was trying to stop them from reaching the center. Suddenly, the ground ahead of them gave way to a deep chasm, its bottom lost in darkness. There was no way around it, and the hedges stretched high above, blocking any other route. "What do we do now?" Mia asked, her voice trembling. Felix scanned the area. Above the chasm, he spotted a series of vines hanging from the towering hedges. "We'll swing across," he decided. Mia looked uncertain. "Swing? I'm too small for that." Felix chuckled. "Don't worry, I've got you." Felix carefully wrapped Mia in his fluffy tail and grabbed hold of the nearest vine. With a mighty leap, he swung across the chasm, his heart pounding as they soared through the air. They landed safely on the other side, and Felix let out a breath of relief. "You did it!" Mia exclaimed, her tiny voice filled with admiration. Felix grinned. "Told you it'd be fine." After what felt like hours of navigating the maze's twisting paths, Felix and Mia finally reached the center. There, in a wide, circular clearing, stood a tall stone pedestal. Atop the pedestal lay a single, glowing feather, the legendary phoenix feather. Its vibrant colors shimmered in the fading light, shifting between shades of red, gold, and orange. "We found it," Felix whispered, his eyes wide with amazement. Mia gasped in awe. "It's beautiful." Felix stepped forward, his heart racing with excitement. The phoenix feather was said to hold incredible power, granting wisdom and strength to whoever possessed it. Carefully, he reached out and took the feather in his paw. The moment he did, the ground beneath them trembled. "Oh no!" Mia squeaked, clinging to Felix's fur. But Felix remained calm. The maze had one final trick, but he wasn't about to let it stop them now. As the maze walls rumbled and shifted, Felix spotted a newly opened path leading back toward the entrance. "Come on, Mia. We're almost out of here." With Mia on his shoulder and the phoenix feather clutched in his paw, Felix sprinted down the path. The walls of the maze seemed to blur around them as they raced toward the exit, the trembling growing fainter with each step. At last, Felix and Mia burst through the entrance of the maze, the towering stone pillars parting to let them through. The sun had just begun to rise, casting a warm, golden light over the forest. "We made it!" Mia cheered, her eyes sparkling with relief. Felix smiled, holding up the phoenix feather. "And we've got the treasure." As they stood at the edge of the forest, Felix felt a sense of accomplishment, not just for solving the maze, but for making a new friend along the way. The phoenix feather was valuable, but Felix knew that the true treasure was the bond he had formed with Mia. "Do you think there are more adventures out there?" Mia asked, her tiny voice filled with excitement. Felix grinned. "Oh, I'm sure of it. And I think we're just the team to take them on." With the phoenix feather tucked safely away, Felix and Mia set off into the forest, ready for whatever adventure lay ahead. The maze had tested their wits, but now, the world beyond was filled with new possibilities, and they were eager to explore them all.